Good evening, everyone. This is the August 4th, 2025 meeting of the Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee. My name is Chris Lozon. I'm the chair. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, any member of the public is welcome to record this. It is also being recorded by the town, but members of the public need to make themselves known if they are recording. This would be the time to do that. So hearing none, we'll move on to a call to order. Roll call. Jim, if you don't mind doing
Okay.
that.
Hector, Gunther, Tom Keene,
Here.
Chris King,
Here.
Chris Lazon,
Here.
Jeremy Shea, Jim Sproul present, and Lillian Wu.
Here.
Okay, so we have a quorum, and I will open it up to public comment. I know Mr. Schwab would like to make a public comment, so you can feel free to do so at this time.
Are we okay?
Yes.
In the interest of time, I'm going to be very brief. I sent a letter to Chris, which he distributed to you folks in response to the request for concerns about the fiscal benefit of the Wilkins 2 project. I listened to your conversation the other day. I thought you were right on track in terms of the police calls, fire calls. I think you have to look a little bit broader, though. So I suggested that you take a look at effluent disposal and processing costs. I have some numbers which I sourced from public documents, which I shared with you, just to give you a sense of some of what we're talking about. And if you felt that this would be part of your fiscal benefit calculation, I'm happy to provide any additional information you might want. And so that's all I have to say. Let me know if you think it's a good idea or not. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Schwab. Are there any other members of the public who would like to make public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our July 28th meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? The only thing I saw was the list of names on the side. It lists clerk as Chris Jeremy Shea. So if Chris can be removed from there, that would be good. But other than that, I think it's fine. So can we get a roll call vote, Jim?
Sure. Lillian,
Yes.
Jim Sproul, yes. Chris Lazon,
Yes.
Chris King,
Yes.
and Tom Keene.
Yes.
Okay. So on to our main event, discussion of Wilkins Lane Phase 2. I believe Chief Beal and Chief Challies are both here. Chief Beal did send a letter to us. I guess we can start with that. If anyone has any further questions for the fire department, feel free to ask.
I think my major question, based on that letter, was the number of calls usual or unusual for what you would expect for that number of residents?
The number of calls we had last year didn't represent a full occupancy building, and we're only looking at the last probably 5 months as full occupancy. So it's really hard to gauge what our true response to that's going to be. And we can use some of the other apartment buildings we have, but it really is kind of a unique property. It's not an elderly community like Everly. It's not lower income like Village Green Apartments. So it's a little bit difficult to kind of gauge that at this point. We're only about 4 or 5 months into full occupancy. So the numbers that I provided are the true numbers from all of last year and the first 7 months of this year.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any way for you to quantify some kind of average cost per call? I know the station's being expanded already and you're kind of preparing for increased demand as it is, but is there some kind of average cost per EMS call and per fire call?
It's a little difficult to do that on the varying nature of the calls, depending on, services needed. Sometimes we send one individual out and one in a pickup truck. Sometimes we have a full complement out. So it's hard to really gauge what the true cost is to respond out there. And we've just been, we know the growth is happening and we're trying to stay ahead of the curve. Building a new station, as you said, we're looking at staffing increasing. We've increased four more people 2.5 years ago. And we're looking to, once the station is built, to add more staffing to that. But I think we have a fairly decent plan moving forward. And this is only one of the projects that we've got going on in our district. So growth is continuing around 15% call volume increase year to year. So we're just trying to prepare for it. And I think we've done a fairly decent job of that.
Okay, great.
Does a plan for your tax revenue coming in, Chief, plan to cover the expansion, 15% expansion that you have built in, that you're planning for?
Yeah, that's kind of a difficult one to nail down. Mark Milne could probably explain it a little bit better than I can. It basically comes down to the valuation of the district versus what we need for a budget. The valuation is set in January. We don't see it until November. Our budgets are set in June. So it's kind of a moving target. But we feel pretty comfortable with what we've come up with for a plan financially moving forward. And we know what the additional tax revenue will be from these properties. And to be honest, their projections back from 2021 have been pretty much spot on for Hanover One.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions from anyone for Chief Beal?
I don't have it.
Can
Thank
I
you.
make a comment though, Chris?
Yes, please.
Chief, appreciate the letter, very detailed and was very timely and had some very good information about for us to be able to plan with.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you for making yourself available, Chief, and for sending that letter. We appreciate it. It helps us do what we need to do. So, um, I guess we'll move on. If you want to hang out, you certainly can, but I'm sure you have better things to do.
I'll be here if there's any other questions come up.
All right, great.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want
Yes.
to bring to your attention that we do have a few folks from New England Development here joining us, Mr. Jackson, I believe, Mr. Tuig, Mr. Sullivan, as well as their attorney, Mike Ford. And I just want to recognize that they're all here in the room. So if you have any questions for them, okay?
Excellent. Yes, thank you for that, Mark. And thank you guys for being here. I think we'll go to the police first, and then we'll move on to the developer. Chief Chellis, if you can.
Hi, thanks for having me. So I
Thank you for
didn't
being here.
have an opportunity to get you anything in writing, but I certainly can do that. I also I have numbers from 2024 for the calendar year, which are obviously significantly lower than the partial year 2025. I believe that is due to occupancy, but we only had 22 calls for service in 2024. 2025 year to date, we have 45. So I think that puts us more on track with what was expected when we got our first estimate. I think from when we first discussed this project, I think they estimated about 106 calls for the building size, and I think we're pretty much on track for that. Maybe a little bit low, but we also looked at motor vehicle accidents just in the area. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to comp it with, but we did have 16 crashes right in that general vicinity. That was Addicts, Kids Hill, Finney's, and Independence. So that's another factor that we have to take into account. But overall, I would say that it's a pretty standard, maybe a slightly lower number of calls for service than I would have expected. I guess I do have a question about the occupancy and whether or not it really is at 100% occupancy, and if it is not, what the plans are for getting it there in terms of like what happens with rents. Do rents go down? How do they fill the building if it's not fully rented?
Chief, just a quick question. On the motor vehicle crashes, that was it 16 you said?
Yes,
Within what time period?
that was 16 this year
Wow.
in those.
I mean, it seems a lot. It is,
It's not.
it's, it's not. Is it the road configuration there? Is it too
I
many
think
people are
it's
excited after leaving BJ's?
you're really catching Finney's and Addicts.
Right.
You're catching the BJ's entrance, Finney's and Wilkins. I mean, Addicts and Wilkins, Addicts and Finney's, and you're getting the Independence intersection also. So there's a number of problems right there. It's just a high volume. So they're not all major crashes, but by any stretch, but there are just a lot.
Any fatalities or serious injuries?
I don't have that information. I can get it. But these were all 2025 crashes. So
I guess it just raises in my mind a question about whether there needs to be some new look at that area in terms of the road configuration, you know, lights, stop signs, I don't know.
so 13 of them were at Finney's and Addicts.
Oh,
Did
Okay.
you notice that increase over previous years, or is that fairly consistent?
That's the information that I don't have. I wasn't able to get it in time. I have to have someone run that stat for me because I don't have access to that. They run it on a database that I don't have access to.
Okay.
But I can certainly get it to comp it. I would say it's probably pretty standard though.
Okay. Yeah, if you can get some kind of comps for previous years, that would be
Mhm.
great.
I have a question. The original fiscal estimate by Wilkins was that you would have to add a half of a law enforcement officer. Has that happened?
No, our current staffing, we have 14 vacancies, soon to be 16. And with the ability to come out of civil service, we're actually right now having our first round of preliminary interviews with people, and we did get a very good response. So we will be hiring, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get recruits into the September Plymouth Academy and possibly the October Cape Academy. So we should be coming back up to somewhat close to full staff. But our most recent staffing study, I don't think it was exclusively a staffing study. It was but we did have a study done probably 2 years ago, and they had our staffing number at a minimum of 126. And right now our staffing is 120 if we're at capacity. So we're still below where we should be anyway, even if we had full staffing. So we haven't added anybody yet. We're hopeful that we'll be able to get back up close to our 120. And then in future years, obviously, we'll be looking to add numbers.
Well, we're with you on that. We have, as you know, from the operating budget, we know all the hoops that you have to go through to hire new officers. I guess the question was whether the Wilkins development has added to the need. Whether you were able to perceive whether there was a need in that the basic impact on your services.
So we haven't had yet a full year of
Right.
them with maximum occupancy yet, and I don't think we've really ironed out what it will look like with them at maximum occupancy with Wilkins 1 fully occupied for even a year yet. I would say that if they anticipate another 300 units of housing there, we will definitely have a drain on staffing that will require additional manpower.
Thank you.
Chief, just to follow up on Lillian's budgeting question, from an operational perspective, when we review your budget, when you put that together, do you take into consideration for the community development activity that goes on? This is just one of many projects throughout the town of Barnstable. Do you look at an item like this and say that we need to do these certain, budget analysis based on what we're going to see as an increase or decrease on locations and the number of units, et cetera? Is this something that my point ultimately being, is this something that we should be capturing in the operational budget review?
It would be very valuable to be able to capture that in the operational budget. I think a lot of what we end up looking at is calls for service. And a lot of what we've seen is a slight drop in calls for service, but I think a lot of what is coming off of calls for service in numbers are security checks and things that people are doing when they have some downtime and they don't have the downtime to do those things and create those extra calls or statistics because there aren't enough people working the shifts so that they're really going from call to call to report room to call to report room. So the extra sort of proactive policing can't happen quite as frequently. So even though it looks like there's a drop in calls for service, it's a drop in what's getting logged as activity because they're not out there able to do the
Not
activity.
out there. Gotcha. Thank
So that
you.
would be helpful.
Thank you.
This is Chris. Just a reminder, Chief, you had a question that I don't think was answered. You were asking about occupancy and where it was and how to get it at full occupancy. I think that was your question. I'm not sure
Yes,
if I.
definitely. Because I will say that it will impact call volume. We see it with the Village Green apartments because we have a very high number of calls just for this 2025. For example, we've been up to the Village Green apartments 126 times versus the 45 times to Hanover Hyannis. And not only is it that we've been there 126 times, but those are at least 2 cruisers per call. So they're a really extreme drain on manpower and safety issues. So I think for me, I would like to know if you're unable to fill it, how are you going to fill the building? And does that mean you're going to reduce rents and draw in a different population into that building?
Yeah, if someone from New England Development wants to answer that question, that would be great.
Sure.
Sure.
Happy.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Mark Jackson. I'm Mike Ford. I'm here and together with Mark Jackson from New England Development, he could answer that question.
Great, thank you.
So the building is what we consider fully occupied right now. They're over 95% leased. And so we'll hover around, that number with 272 leases. It's always, we're considered stabilized once you hit 95. So, and it's been that way for at least 2 or 3 months now.
Do you take any actions to lease the remaining 5% as far as changing rent, or you just kind of leave it status quo?
No, we leave it. We're not lowering the rents for that. It's once you're 75, you're stabilized. When there's that many leases on a 12-year cycle, there's always going to be somebody kind of moving in or out at some point. So,
Okay.
Mr. Jackson, is there any particular apartment that goes unrented? Is it the 1, 2, or 3 bedroom? Do you have any information on what is currently vacant?
I don't think there's a specific unit that isn't renting.
Okay.
And then the other question I had, probably for the developers, is there was something brought up about the effluents, which I think is the sewer connection.
Yeah.
Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but how is the connection to the sewer paid? Is it paid by the occupant of the apartment, or is it paid by the total development? I would
But
think it's part of the water consumption and then the
correct.
right.
Mike Ford, help us out here. I'm pretty sure, I'm sorry, this is Paul Sincotta. I'm with Mark Jackson at New England Development. Mike, I believe that water and sewer is paid on a facility-wide basis. They're not allocated to each renter. So it's
Right.
paid.
Right. And it's based on the water consumption because that's metered so they can keep track of it.
And through the approval process, we've got adequate capacity letters, both from as to water consumption and wastewater consumption.
Mhm.
And so the building is paying water and sewer fees, as is the case with everybody else in that particular district.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we can circle back to that shortly if you want, Chris. I just
Okay.
want to finish up with Chief Challies first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, that's quite all right. That's fine. I just wanted to ask too, the same thing I asked Chief Beal. Do you have any way to quantify an average cost per call? And were these serious calls? He said 45 calls so far this year. Were they high impact, like multiple cruisers, or kind of lower priority stuff? Do you know?
I do have all the calls broken down here. It's hard to say uh, the seriousness from what I'm looking at. They sort of run the gamut. Um, and I don't have any real way to break down the cost. When you're looking at an alarm, it's probably just a single officer going to check an alarm. But when you're going to domestics, domestic assault and battery, noise disturbances, intoxicated persons, you're definitely sending a couple of cruisers. So, and there's really everything on here. Nothing, nothing that I would categorize as alarmingly serious. So I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
Okay.
But there's a lot of, there's a lot of types of calls here, but it's hard to put a dollar amount on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say a majority is multiple officers
Yes.
responding? Yeah,
Yes.
okay. All right, that's helpful. Anyone else have any questions for the chief?
Again, as Chris said earlier, thank you very much, Chief. That was awesome. That was excellent material. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, we appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. And if you can put these things in writing and just forward them to the committee, I would appreciate that. Any of the numbers
I will do
for
that.
the call, motor vehicle crashes and all, anything relevant. Appreciate that.
Okay.
So I guess we'll move on to the developer, who did send us all responses to the questions that were asked. And certainly if you want to dive back into the sewer stuff, you can, or with anyone, any other questions.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is Mike Ford. I'm
Yes,
local
sir.
counsel for the applicant, and Mr. Sincotta from New England Development and Mark Jackson are here with me as well. We responded, as you indicated, to all of your questions in writing. We're happy to go through those, take them one at a time if that's the committee's pleasure, or if there's any areas there where the committee feels that you need further flushing out, we'll try to be responsive in those areas. I mean, we're happy to do it any way you'd like to do it. I know you've got somewhat of a time limitation, 36 minutes, as I see, with one of your members has to leave. So you tell me how you'd like us to proceed and what's most efficient. I assume you all got our responses, so you've had a chance to look at those. But we're happy to to go through them and simply highlight them and see if questions further evolve from them, if that's the way you'd like to proceed.
Well, I think in the interest of time, we'll just see if anyone has particular questions instead of running through them all. Something for
Okay.
me, just I talked about this at the last meeting. I know some others didn't really agree on it, but question 7 about excise taxes. The actual data from the assessor's office indicates that your estimates are pretty high based on the average value of a vehicle. The assessments that were sent out for this year indicate an average vehicle value throughout the town of $5,838 as opposed to your $17,000 estimate. So, dividing all of that, calculating it out, the actual increase in revenue based on 70% of the vehicles being new, like Wilkins 1, you'd be looking at $49,754 in increased revenue as opposed to 206,000. So that's quite a discrepancy.
We do agree that the excise tax estimate is, well, we suggest it's still realistic, and we do that principally because of the value of vehicles. And I know you're saying throughout the town, perhaps $5,000, but just drive through the parking lot at Wilkins One and take a look at the vehicles over there. And we think that the average vehicle value of 17, frankly, is very conservative. It was a conservative assumption. So at the end of the day, we think the actual excise tax revenue for Wilkins 2 will be consistent or fairly close to being consistent with that estimate.
Well, I just want to ask you a question about Wilkins 1 and the vehicles. What percentage of the present tenants have new vehicles?
I'm not sure that we have the answer to that. Paul or Mark, can you provide any further information on what percentage of tenants have new vehicles?
Meaning as in new, hardly used, or new?
No,
new to Barnstable.
new to Barnstable.
New to Barnstable.
How many?
I think I thought that the information that we got from Hanover was about 70% are new.
Right.
To
Yeah,
Barnstable.
it does say that in the answer you
Yeah,
provided.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Right.
which is how I calculated the tax revenue based on some things Mark sent me from the assessor, that if 70% of the vehicles are new to Barnstable, based on the average value of vehicles across the town, you end up with $49,000 in actual new revenue based on the excise.
Well, I've been working on the Wilkins 1 vehicle tax at 70%. And now your estimate is that you are now at 95% occupancy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay. Well, based on what we've seen, the we used the $15,000 that you had submitted in the Wilkins 1 impact analysis. And the average price for that was 7,767. So we're gonna use that in our calculations. And there will be a discrepancy for Wilkins 1 as well as for Wilkins 2.
Anyone have any questions on anything else?
I do. I just want to sort of get an understanding of the sewer connections, because my understanding was that it is the developer that has to pay for the connection for the sewers. And I think that was your answer. But I also thought that it was state law that residents have to pay individual water metering. Is that not correct?
I think the water and sewer are built into the rents. The utilities are built into the rents.
Really?
Paul, am I incorrect on that?
I'm, I am very, very confident. I mean, we can try to confirm on this phone call with Hanover, the folks that operate the facility, that they are not able to meter 272 units individually, that they meter the buildings, and that the water and sewer costs are factored into the rents that they collect.
Okay.
Okay,
I'd appreciate if you confirm that. Obviously, electric is separately metered.
Correct. Electric is separately metered, and when we talk about connection, so you had said at the outset, a connection fee. Certainly the connection fees that were paid to the town to make the initial connections for water and wastewater are all borne by
Right.
the builder, by
right.
Hanover. The usage, water and sewer usage fees, we believe are also borne by the landlord, and then they're part of the rent.
Okay.
And and I can't say I don't know the guts of the building inside and out, but the metering operation to meter 272 units on water consumption would be a fairly involved aspect of the operation of that building. And I've not seen a multifamily building where water is metered on a per unit basis.
Since the fiscal analysis was submitted for Wilkins 2 last year, have you updated the cost of the development? Your initial estimate was 72 million. I'm just wondering whether you have made any changes to that your cost.
That was the answer to question number two. That was the answer to question number two, and that question was asked, and we indicated that the cost will be not less than 72 million.
I guess the question is, will it be more?
No, that's what I read that, and yeah, Tom got it.
Right. I mean, there's tariffs in place,
Yeah.
Oh, I think there's some confusion in what the 72 million is. If we talk about assessed values for 1 second, it's worth going to phase one for a minute. In the phase one study, the assessed value for the phase one building was projected to be 52 million.
Right.
That number may be familiar. And today on the town's records, that value is about 63 million.
Correct.
That the assessed value of 63 million for phase one over 272 units, that math gets you a per unit value in excess of $230,000. That $230,000 you'll see is higher than the per unit estimated value that we used in the phase two, which was $225,000. So the roundabout way to answer your question is the assessed value in phase two is going to be higher than the 72. And we also expect that, jumping back to phase one, that $63 million value we think is a little bit dated. It's likely not reflecting full completion and full occupancy of the building, because the assessed values are always trailing. They tend to trail 6 to 12 months. And so now that the building is fully stabilized, it'll convert to an assessed valuation that's based on income rather than costs. Whereas right now, it's actually the assessor's office uses a hybrid of both costs and some of the preliminary indications of income. So the 72 million assessed value for the phase two building will be higher than that, certainly when it reaches stabilization.
So I think that's to Lillian's point, which is if it is going to be higher, can we figure out at this point how much higher? Because obviously that means more tax revenue to the town, and that's what we're looking at here.
Right.
Right. And I think the point that we like to make in preparing these fiscal reports is that we very intentionally try to be conservative. And we understand that what we're trying to do is not overestimate the revenue side and be as conservative as we can be about the costs, so that we're not overpromising and ultimately under delivering. So certainly we're seeing it in phase one, and the numbers don't reflect full occupancy in phase one yet. And it is materially more positive than the phase one study predicted. And we would expect a consistent result in the phase two.
Okay. Something to remember, Lillian, as you put together the report.
Right.
Right.
And it's not, and sorry to carry on here, but we see this routinely. We're very, very intentional and deliberate about trying to be conservative in predicting both revenues and costs. And we've, in multiple communities, it is the way that we prepare these reports, because we do not want to be experiencing the opposite, where we've underestimated revenues and therefore sort of missed on the net positive. These are clearly net positive projects. The costs, police and fire, for instance, the calls, I think, are very, very conservatively estimated in the phase two report. If you go and take a look, they're predicted to be almost one a day in both police and EMS responses. And we're clearly experiencing something well below that. Similarly with fire, school-aged children, again, routinely, we experience far fewer children coming into the school system than are actually predicted.
Thank you. How long do you think it will take to construct Wilkins 2?
If you look at Wilkins 1, we expect it to track just about that same schedule. From the start of construction to the initial occupancies was about 14 months. In the case of phase one, oftentimes what we would say is full occupancy would be achieved inside of almost 20 to 24 months. Phase one leased up very, very quickly. It was received very well in the market. It leased up faster than typically experienced. And so the lease up happened in a period of about 16 months, where the first occupancies started in 14 or so months.
Has the occupancy of Wilkins 1 impacted any from the experience of Wilkins 1 impacted on any of your decisions going forward?
No, there were no surprises. The unit mix between phase one and phase two are within a percentage point in each category of 1, 2s, and 3s.
Slightly changed for the demand, and I think the demand, I mean, we're moving forward with phase. The demand is there and it's significant, and that's really what led us to this phase. So I think
exactly. I mean, what was pretty remarkable is in phase one, there were 3 buildings, as you might be aware. And when leasing started, it was literally hours when dozens of leases, I should say, dozens of commitments had been made for those units. And so the the leasing had to pause a bit until the second building was ready to be leased. And the construction is very, very typical. The buildings ordinarily get released to leasing one at a time because they move from building to building. So building one gets framed first, and then that crew moves to building two, and that gets framed second, and then all the trades follow behind. So they tend to come in tranches that way. And in some instances, they developed waiting lists for the next units to become available, to be finished and become available.
Has the mix of the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units met your expectations of what you thought would be the demand? Or are you thinking about reconfiguring that mix?
No, the mix for phase two is
Very similar to phase one.
right. And sort of consistent with this type of product.
Thank you.
And how many of each configuration is designated as affordable?
It's 27 in phase one and 13%, and 42 in phase two, which is 13% as well.
Yep.
And those
42.
percentages are
So
42
each
units. Yeah.
So each 1, 2, and 3, it'll be 13% of each of those unit types will be affordable.
Right.
So it's a uniform across all
Yeah,
units.
uniform distribution of the affordable across the.
And there's no difference in those units from the market as
Right.
far as, fixtures or anything like that.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, Jim, Chris King?
I have just one follow, and I'm not sure it's the right audience. It might be something different, but we in public comment we had an email with a ton of great information in it. Has anyone had a chance? I don't know if that'd be a developer to vet it or Mark Milne, your staff. Has anyone taken a look at those numbers that were presented? It was very detailed.
I can say this, Jim, when we were developing the financing plan for the comprehensive wastewater management program, one of the funding sources that we presented as an option to the town council at the time, this goes back to 2019, was the first time we introduced this idea. We talked about it for a couple of years with previous councils, was the idea of a system development charge. And, that is to recoup from new users a financial payment for the backbone of the system that we have and the existing capacity that we have previously developed that sits out there waiting for new users to come in and take advantage of. That funding idea at that time, the council at that time did not want to pursue. So it's not part of our funding plan for the sewer program.
Okay.
Is that something that could be revisited, Mark?
Can be revisited at any time, sure. Yeah.
And that would require action of the town council.
Yes.
Not a referendum or anything, just the town council implementing it.
That's correct. Right.
But I think I heard that that information was available in public documents, so I assumed that came from the town somehow or some way. But
yeah, that I don't know, Jim.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can say that we can certainly have another discussion about the idea of.
Yeah.
But remember, if that were to be implemented, we'd have to apply that uniformly across all new users. We can't pick and choose who they charge a system development fee to. So, and at the time, the new users were looking at a sewer assessment, a connection cost, a utility bill, and I think the council at that time felt we were piling on more and more one fee after another with a system development charge. So, but we can certainly revisit it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have no further questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much to the folks who showed up. It was
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yes, we appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
I just wanted to just point out, like our two, like fire and police chief, their comments were just very well put together and we very much appreciate it. We got the similar feedback on very short notice from Superintendent Ahern and Deputy Finance Director Dewey. And essentially, I'll just net it out for expediency, is that there really was no impact. Wilkins 2 has no impact on the school system, or very minor, and as a matter of fact, may even help stabilize with additional students coming into town. Not many, but in a time when we see school populations dropping, it could be potential that developments like Wilkins 2 could help stabilize, if not help increase state aid because of that. So I think from a school perspective was one of our areas to look at. That it appears to be what we received as information is very reasonable and favorable to the town. So
That was my read on it too, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know we have several town councilors here. Do any of you have any questions? I'll open it up to you if you like. Councilor Lutke, Councilor Starr, Councilor Clark.
I'll just say for Bristol, this is Councilor Ludke. No, I don't have any questions right now. I really appreciate everybody's time and commitment to reviewing this closely. Thank you so much for doing that. I think it's really important with all of the apartment developments we have coming forward to have a really good grasp of the financial situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Starr or Clark?
Thank you very much, Chair Luzon. I would like to suggest that perhaps those answers to the written questions could be shared with not only the councilors, but if this report is it going to ZBA next?
Yeah, we can share that with you as well as the ZBA members. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because the committee
They're
members
public
are privy.
documents at this point, yeah.
Yeah, but if they can be, I guess, plucked off of your web page, but somehow make sure it's shared with those who are going to, especially the ZBA members, to that might find that information or those answers enlightening or informative. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
What I suggest we'll do is we will attach those responses as appendices to our report.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, we can. I'll send them out anyway, just so you guys can look at them ahead of that, because the report will be on a very tight deadline before the ZBA meeting. So I'll send you the answers now, but we certainly can put them as an appendix on the report. Yep.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll point out that the responses to your questions will be part of the minutes as well of this meeting, which will be publicly notified. So placed on our website.
Well, there you go. You can get it any way you want.
Good. And I do want to thank all of you. This is a robust conversation, so thanks for taking the time under this tight deadline to evaluate this project for us. And I'm grateful that you were able to do that.
Well, thank you for asking us to look at it.
I won't take the credit. I think it's Councilor Lutke, or was it Turkelson who had this idea? But thank you nonetheless.
Yep, Betty reached out, but we appreciate you all. Councilor Starr, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So if there's nothing else, I guess I'll say thank you to the developer and to police and fire chiefs once again. We appreciate your time. And,
thank you, everyone.
We'll move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mike Ford. Can I just ask what your process is going forward. We have a ZBA meeting on the 13th of April.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
excuse
So
me, of August.
of
And
August. Yep.
yes, and
Yeah.
it
So
was the ZBA who asked me to get in touch with you and have you review this, and I then submitted it to you through the manager's office. And so I'm supposed to report back to ZBA that we've done that, and I assume your report that committee member Wu just spoke of is the one that you will be submitting to ZBA. Is that,
yes,
am I
we will
correct in
submit
that?
that. Yep, we'll submit that to the ZBA and the town council after our next meeting. Our plan is to finalize that for our next meeting on the 11th,
Okay,
and send that out.
all right.
So,
And if we wanted to get copies of the correspondence that you have referred to tonight that you received from other folks, we can just get that through Mark Milne, I guess.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I can share that with you.
Thank you, Mark.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to agree on a process of getting this written?
Well, I know Lillian had volunteered to write up a draft, so I think the plan at this point is for her to write that up based on all of these answers in our discussion, send it out to the members, and we will discuss and edit it at the next meeting as needed and vote on a final version.
Would it
Unless
be,
anyone,
is it, as we've done prior documents, is it possible to circulate a draft, get comments back from people, have Lillian do another edit, then have me do an edit, which I think Lillian volunteered me to do, and then have something
yeah,
close to final?
yeah, no, we certainly can do that. We have to be careful not to discuss it, back and forth with each other, but certainly circulate
Right.
the document and we can send our feedback on it, and Lillian or yourself can make adjustments as needed, but can't be a back and forth discussion, obviously, until our next meeting.
So can we get like a deadline? I mean, when when do you want to have it to ship off to
I
all
will,
the interested parties?
I
At the
can give,
12th?
I can give you a progress report.
Okay.
I have already drafted all of the major components of the Wilkins estimates. So everything is in place. All I need to do now is to get the minutes from Teresa tomorrow to and compare them with the notes that I took tonight, and then I'll put that all together. What I've done, because the town council gets tons of literature, is to make this as concise and abbreviated as possible. So what I've done is to basically compare the estimates with what we found. And so it's very clear, and um, it should present an overall picture to the council and to the ZBA, as you know, and if they have any follow-up questions, they can get in touch with us. However, so as soon as I get the minutes from Teresa tomorrow, I should be able to whip it out to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
No later than Wednesday.
yeah, I was gonna say if we can have that initial draft by Wednesday,
Yeah, you'll have it
make
by
whatever
Wednesday.
comments and go from there.
Yeah. Um,
So by next Monday, we'll be looking at a final edit, correct?
yes. Yes.
We
Yes,
hope.
yeah, our goal is
Yeah.
to do a final
Right.
edit and approval next Monday.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And Tom is going to do his magic and put it all together so that it's comprehend so that everybody can understand it.
Excellent. All right.
Mr.
So,
Chair, I have 6:54, so we need.
There we go.
yep, we're just about at the end. So, do we have any other correspondence from committee members? Hearing none. Any communications from the staff?
Just I'll get the meeting posted for next Monday night out tomorrow for you with materials.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. So, I guess I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. I get a roll call, Jim?
Tom Keen,
Yes.
Chris King,
Yes, sir.
Chris Lazon.
Yes.
Jim Sproul is a yes, and Lillian Wu.
Yes.
We're good.
We're adjourned.